All right, guys, so today we are looking at the Actividades for Chapter 6. So taking a look at Activity 2, this one's really straightforward. It's got a picture, and then you're just matching it up with the Spanish word or the Spanish phrase. So that one's pretty obvious. Take a look at Activity 3, though. That is a speaking assignment. So it's a pretty big deal. Definitely take it seriously. It's a big part of your grade. Now, in the directions it says, what's the weather like today? Say the date and then describe what kind of day it is today. You have 4 speaking prompts here. So I'm looking for 4 sentences. If you don't do them all, you can't get 100, okay? So make sure you do them. So this first phrase here, hoy es. You guys are familiar with that word, hoy. It means today. Es means is, so today is. That's where we're supposed to put in the date. So for this, I want you to be real careful here. We cannot say in Spanish, hoy es abril 5. That doesn't work. So we actually do dates the opposite in Spanish of how we do them in English. If you think about this, we kind of do this in English. We can say today is April 5th, or I can say today is the 5th of April. That second version is what we go with in Spanish. So today is hoy es el 5 de abril. So what you will do, just use that hoy es el, and then the number, day, and then the month. So use your vocabulary list for sure. All right. Another interesting thing, just so you know, if today is April 5th, that would be 4-5 in English. In Spanish, we actually do the opposite. We would say 5-4. So it's the 5th of April. So that's kind of interesting, just so you know. So anyways, that's your first sentence. For hace and está, stick to your vocabulary list, okay? So don't try to venture out. If it says hace sol, then leave it alone. Leave it as hace sol. If it says está soleado, leave it alone. Never say hace soleado or está sol. It just doesn't work. So we're really just working on getting used to some phrases really in this chapter. So stick to the vocabulary list on those 2 sentences for sure. Now your last sentence, la temperatura es, that means the temperature is. Let's say the temperature is 70 degrees. I'm going to say la temperatura es de 70 grados. So that's the phrase that we're looking for there. La temperatura es de number grados. Now, if you say la temperatura es de 70 grados, I am not going to be able to give you full credit. This has to be in Spanish. So keep that in mind. All right, let's take a look at Activity 4. So for this one, they are looking for which season it is. Summer, winter, spring, fall. The one thing that I wanted to remind you of, include the articles el or la, and that is on your vocabulary list. All right, let's take a look at Activity 5. Okay, this one's really straightforward. It just gives you a blank. If it says Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, blank, whatever goes in the blank must be Thursday. So it's a mixture of days, months, seasons. So stick to your vocab list. Pretty easy. The computer is going to grade that one, so make sure your spelling's right. For Activity 6, let's see. Okay, again, stick to the vocabulary list. So in the example, it says en el desierto, and then we're supposed to write a sentence about what the weather is like. So we went with hace calor, because el desierto is the desert. Hace calor is from your vocabulary list, meaning it's hot. Again, stick to the vocabulary list. If it starts with a capital letter and ends with a period on the vocab list, it is a sentence. You don't have to change anything about it, all right? So do not make this harder than it needs to be. Definitely do not Google Translate. Don't word reference this one even. Just stick to the vocab list, all right? All right, let's take a look at activity 7. So this one is using the verb ir that we learned. And so we're looking for the future of what the weather is going to be like. So what you're going to do is go to Google, search what the weather's going to be like Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and then they give you the 3 days, Friday, and then Saturday and Sunday. I'm going to say that I'm at least looking for 2 sentences there, okay? So they gave us an example for jueves, Thursday. They said it's going to be hot. It's going to be windy. It's going to be cloudy. So va a, that's from ir. Va means it is going. And then we left our infinitives alone. We did not conjugate it. It's going to be. And then on this one, the temperature is going to be 90 degrees. If you want a negative sentence, you just put your no in front of your conjugated verb. It's not going to rain. But the main thing I'm looking for here is that va, a, and then a phrase from your vocab list. All right, activity 8. Let's check it out. Maybe. Okay, so choose a season and describe the weather that you may experience during that season where you live. Include which months the season takes place in and the types of weather that you encounter. So we could say, en esta estación, that means in this season. And then we can just list a few weather things. In this season, it rains a lot. It's not hot, it's not cold. And then we could say it is in. Normally for the months, we would say, let's see, probably estamos en. We are in. And then list a couple of months. If you're going to say and, say e. Really, on this activity, I'm wanting you to just stick to the vocab list again, but also just do your best to come up with some decent sentences here. Don't overthink it. Definitely don't overcomplicate it. All right, activity 9. This is with your new ER and IR verbs. So if you did not watch the video yet, you definitely need to do that. So it says you've got 3 different seasons, and you're supposed to say what these different subjects do for each of those seasons. So in the example, it says, yo no asisto a la escuela. And then for mis amigos beben la limonada. And then mi profesora lee muchos libros. So again, for every one of them, come up with a sentence for each of these subjects. So in number 1, you're going to start with the word yo, and then you're going to have a yo conjugation. And then on your second sentence, it'll be mis amigos, and a they conjugation. And then for your third sentence, mi profesora, and then a she conjugation. And then you'll move on to the second one. And again, you'll have yo, and then mis amigos, and then mi profesora. So every single time. Now what I am looking for there, I don't just want any old verb. I want an ER or IR verb, and make it a verb from this chapter. Because not every verb in Spanish is regular, and at this point in time you have no idea whether it's regular or not. So stick to this chapter, all right? Those are the words that we need to be practicing. Those are the ones you need to be working on knowing what they mean anyway. All right, activity 10. So this one's pretty simple. Conjugate the verb to agree with the subject. So you're going to find your subject here. It's yo. And then our verb is comprender. If you have not watched the video yet on how to conjugate these verbs, you need to do that. So we know we take off the ER. Comprend. My subject is yo. Look at your notes. Next to yo, it has an O. So comprendo is the answer there. Activity 11 is very similar to activity 10, but now you are actually going to type out a full sentence. So what I always say is basically you are going to copy down what it has here, except then you're going to go back and change this verb. So you need to recognize the verb when you see it, and then we know to take off the ER, and then we are going to put the ending. Now, Manuel is he. He in Spanish is él. And the él ending for an ER verb is an E. So we're just going to add it in there. Lee. Manuel lee el periódico. All right, activity 12. This one is really straightforward. Again, if you have not watched the video on ER and IR verbs yet, you need to do that before you do activity 12. But for this one, you're really just matching the subjects with the verb endings. So when you see abro la puerta, you need to figure out which of these words is the verb. Which one is it? If you don't know, look at your vocab list and then decide based on that ending, who does it go with? What does it go with? Yo? Does it go with Isabel? Does it go with Elena? Who does it go with? All right, activity 13. So for this one, complete the calendar, things you do throughout the week. Okay, so it's got the different days of the week. You are going to use sentences, which means that you need a verb. Now keep in mind, sentences can be very short in Spanish. I can say, I read, and that is a sentence. Now it's probably a better sentence if I say, I read a magazine. Or I read a book, or I read and the name of the book. Now, there are some things that don't really make sense to say without some kind of qualifier after that verb. It wouldn't really make sense to say, I open. I open what? I open the door. I open a present. What is it that you're opening? Because without something after that, it really doesn't make sense. So keep that in mind. But definitely sentences, and I'm going to say use at least 3 verbs on each of these questions. So on Monday, don't just tell me I read a magazine. Tell me 2 other things that you do. So you could do that as one long sentence with commas, and then a period at the end, or you could have 3 short sentences. It's up to you. But these are all going to be yo conjugations, things that you do. All right? So keep in mind, I am on Zoom every day. If you are not on Remind, you need to get on there. I send a Remind text every day when I'm getting on there. And that is definitely the place to come to if you need some extra help from me on these activities. Also keep in mind in your table of contents, if you will open up chapter 6, there are videos, there are authentic materials, just lots of other resources in there that you can look at. If you're struggling with ER and IR verbs, I know there's an ER, IR verbs video in there. You also can check YouTube and search things like Spanish ER verbs. And there will be plenty of explanations on there. So definitely do not accept defeat. You are much better than that. Let me know if you are struggling with anything. Send me an email. But again, check out Zoom. I'm on there every day. See you guys soon.